Hi everyone, I'm Rick Neuheisel, and welcome to Varsity Days. Our crack historians here at the Pac-12 Network have discovered rare films of a bygone era, films that show the memorable moments and great athletes that have made the Pac-12 the Conference of Champions. In 1982, Arizona State was playing its 5th season in the Pac-10, and head coach Darryl Rogers had a stacked defense, anchored by All-Americans Jim Jeffcoat, Vernon Maxwell, and Mike Richardson. That group of Sun Devils finished the season 10-2 and ranked 6th in the final Associated Press poll. So let's watch a remarkable season in Sun Devil football history. Here in its original format is Firepower, ASU Football 1982.
The Sun Devils opened the 1982 campaign against Oregon at Eugene. ASU's starting quarterback, Sandy Olszewski, who had waited 2 years for his big chance, suffered torn knee ligaments only 15 minutes into the game and was lost for the season. His backup, Todd Hans, rose to the challenge by completing 13 of 19 passes and directing the Devil offense to 24 points. Hans passed to Doug Allen for a late touchdown. And Tony Lombardi ran in for the final score as ASU breezed to a 34-3 victory. The defensive unit, paced by Brian Caldwell and Jimmy Williams, limited the Ducks to 10 first downs. In the Sun Devil Stadium opener against Utah, the offense struggled in the first half, and the Utes led 10-6 at intermission. Again, the defense came to the rescue, with Paul Moyer intercepting 2 passes and pouncing on 2 Utah fumbles. Moyer was named Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Week. Luis Zendejas booted 3 field goals. Hans and Tex Wright made touchdown runs in a second-half comeback that carried ASU to victory 23-10. Facing the University of Houston in the Astrodome is always a formidable challenge, but the improving Sun Devils were ready. ASU's young offensive line made big holes for Willie Gittens, who romped for 113 yards. Linebacker Billy Robinson took his turn in the defensive spotlight as the Devils throttled the Houston veer attack. Hans took advantage of frequent Houston turnovers. He directed a sustained march in the second half that put the Devils ahead 24-3. At the final gun, it was ASU 24, Houston 10. California's Golden Bears were unbeaten when ASU came to Berkeley. Linebacker Vernon Maxwell, with 10 solo tackles and 4 quarterback sacks, sparked another great defensive show. The Devils held the Bears to minus 16 yards net rushing and sacked Cal quarterbacks 13 times. Hans hit Doug Allen for a 43-yard touchdown. Zendejas kicked 2 field goals, and ASU scored a safety on a blocked California punt. At the finish, the Devils were on top 15-0. Kansas State came to Sun Devil Stadium undefeated and with its best team in years. But the Big 8 Wildcats were no match for ASU's rugged defense. Sensational freshman linebacker Greg Battle was in on 18 tackles. Hans connected with Ron Brown in the end zone late in the second period for 1 touchdown. Caldwell raced across the goal line after intercepting a Wildcat pass, and Darryl Clack broke loose for a 15-yard scoring run. Zendejas added 3 more field goals to his impressive total. Final score, ASU 30, K-State 7.
This is Eric Sogard, second baseman of the Oakland A's, and you're watching Pac-12 Networks. Go Devils.
Our team.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Well, Philly is very different from Arizona. It was a tough transition. I was only 17 when I made the transition. Anybody that came from a junior college in any sport knows the struggle of, having to pay your own tuition. It's just trying to do anything, just to get by, to make it to where you want to be. What it means to be a Sun Devil, everything, character, discipline, giving my all, whether it's in the classroom, on the field, in the community, and that's what Coach Graham, emphasizes every day. I don't want to be remembered as somebody that almost did it. I just want to be remembered as one of the greatest to play on this field. Go Devils.
Varsity Days is presented by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi Motors invites you to find your own lane.
John Elway, one of the greatest passers in collegiate football history, led Stanford to a 10-0 advantage over the Devils in the first quarter. But ASU battled back, scoring on a Tech's right plunge and a 31-yard pass, Hans to Brown, just before halftime. Arizona State threatened to pad its 14-10 lead late in the fourth quarter, but Wright's fumble at the goal line gave Stanford new life. Elway drove his team goalward as ASU's fans implored the defense to stand fast. But Mike Tolliver hauled in an Elway touchdown pass that put Stanford in front 17-14 with only 49 ticks left on the clock. That set the stage for one of the greatest finishes in ASU football history. Hans picked apart the Stanford prevent defense and eventually rifled a pass to Jerome Weatherspoon on the Stanford 1-yard line. Wright bowled it across from there with 11 seconds remaining, and ASU celebrated an amazing 21-17 victory. The Devils spotted Texas El Paso a 3-0 lead early in the game, but then took command to take an easy 37-6 victory. Rookie Darryl Clack galloped for 157 yards. And Hans connected on 14 of 18 passes, good for 194 yards. More than 71,000 screaming fans filled Sun Devil Stadium to overflowing when USC's Trojans invaded. ASU moved in front 7-3 on Hans' scoring pass to Clack. And Zendejas kicked a 52-yard field goal, longest in ASU annals, to make it 10-3. A Southern California scoring pass tied the score before halftime, and it stayed that way until late in the third quarter. Then Ron Wetzel grabbed the pass on the USC 6-yard line, and Alvin Moore scampered into the end zone to put the Devils ahead 17-10. The Trojans threatened late in the thunderous final quarter, but ASU's magnificent defenders turned them away. The 17-10 win vaulted ASU into fourth place in the AP national rankings. Paul Moyer, Mike Richardson, and Jim Jeffcoat were among the defensive heroes as ASU made 6 quarterback sacks and held USC's running game to an incredible 20 net yards. Oregon State's fired-up Beavers caught the Devils in a letdown. Twice in the first half, they moved ahead of ASU and smelled an upset victory. But the Devil defenders shut down Oregon State after the intermission, and ASU scored 13 points to put the game into the win column, 30-16. Hahn's 300-yard passing performance and Zendejas' record-breaking 55-yard field goal were the highlights. A record crowd of more than 72,000 packed Sun Devil Stadium as ASU battled the Washington Huskies for the bid to the Rose Bowl. Washington drew first blood, recovering a fumbled punt and scoring on Aaron Williams' one-handed pass reception at the goal line. The two Pac-10 rivals traded field goals before halftime, giving the Huskies a 10-3 lead. After recovering an ASU fumble on the second half kickoff, Washington needed only 2 plays to move ahead 17-3. The Devils dominated the game from that point on, scoring on Clack's sensational 50-yard run and Zendejas' 47-yard field goal. Early in the fourth period, ASU drove to the Washington 16 and seemed certain to take the lead. But the Huskies intercepted to end the threat and hang on to their 17-13 lead until the final gun. Washington State's upset victory over Washington kept ASU in the Rose Bowl picture and gave even greater importance to the Sun Devils' season finale against the Arizona Wildcats. The Cats delighted a record Tucson crowd by taking an early lead on Tom Tunnicliff's 92-yard pass to Brian Holland. It was all Arizona until late in the third period, when ASU's Hans began to connect with tight end Don Kern. Clack scored a pair of touchdowns, and Luis Zendejas added a field goal as the Devils rallied from a 26-0 deficit to make the final score Arizona 28, Arizona State 18. ASU's 9-2 record earned an invitation to the Fiesta Bowl, opposing Oklahoma's Sooners on New Year's Day. Players and coaches had a great week at one of the finest resort hotels in Phoenix. A sellout crowd of more than 70,000 in Sun Devil Stadium, and a national NBC television audience saw one of the most exciting bowl games ever played. Oklahoma, with freshman Marcus Dupree running wild, dominated the early going. But on the final play of the first half, Zendejas brought the Devils back within 2 points at 13-11 with a 54-yard field goal, a new Fiesta Bowl record. Clack's 15-yard scoring dash in the third quarter gave ASU the lead, 18-13. Then Hans started hitting his receivers. Alvin Moore raced 70 yards with one Hans pass. And Ron Brown scored the game's final touchdown on a 52-yard bomb. ASU was in command at the finish, beating Oklahoma 32-21 and advancing to number 6 in both final polls. So a memorable season ended in triumph. The Sun Devil defensive unit finished number 1 in the nation, and both Vernon Maxwell and Mike Richardson earned All-America honors. A number 6 national ranking, a 10-2 record, a major bowl victory over a national power, the ASU Cup overflowed.